Hi, welcome back. In this second video on adding content to a Moodle course, we'll be learning how to use the book resource. Again, I will be using the same course as the one I used to show course pages. That way we can compare the two different resources side by side at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll just click on my Pages and Books course. You can see here my first topic is Introduction, and it has my 4 pages with my 1 assignment. I've added the assignment in here just to show you what students see and the difference between what they see when you have all the pages as opposed to just the book. So I'm going to go ahead and turn editing on. Again, that can be found under the administration block or over on the far right hand side. So this red box shows me that I'm ready to start editing my course and adding some content. So I'm just going to scroll down to my second topic, and you'll see here that adding a book looks different than my introduction. It looks a little bit more pale, and what I've done is I've actually hidden this from students. And the reason that someone would want to hide a topic or a subject would be because you don't want your students either working ahead or you're like me and you're still building this part of the course. So I'm just going to go over to the little eyeball over here, and it's crossed over and it says show topic. So I'm just going to click on that. Now my adding a book topic is visible to students. And just like it sounds, a book in Moodle is a book-like structure with page navigation, options for page numbers, chapters and subchapters, and a table of content. So let's go ahead and start adding our book. So just over under add an activity or resource, and we're going to scroll down under resource, first one down, and click on book. Again, over on the right hand side, it will give you a nice description of what a book is. I recommend that when you build your own book, you do take a look through and have a read. It may give you some tips. At this point, I'm just going to skip ahead and we're going to go down to the add button. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to add my first book. So a new page shows up and it's called adding a new book, and unfortunately my title is adding a book. A little bit confusing. You'll see again that over on the left hand side under the headings, the red star will let you know what mandatory field is required. And again, just like I did with my pages, I'm going to go over and expand all. That way I can see exactly what I need to complete and have filled in before I go and save this book. So I'm going to go ahead and title this. Introductory Activities. Again, I'm going to do the same thing here and then scroll down. You'll see here again the description on the course page. Again, I'm not a big fan of this. I don't feel that my book needs that description right now, so I'm going to leave that open. Now the big difference here is when we had pages, the next thing that we had was content. However, for us, because we're still setting up our book, the next thing we see is chapter formatting. So this gives you 4 options to format. None will just mean that your chapter titles will come straight as you write them. Numbers will give you numbers for your chapters, such as 1, 2, 3, and if you add any subchapters, it will list them off as 1.1, 1.2, etc. You can bullet your chapters or you can indent them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to indent mine because I do want to have some subchapters. The next one down is custom titles. Now this can be a little bit confusing to start with, but once you play around with it, it really is simple. So right now our book is called Introductory Activities, and what that tells me is that on every chapter page that I add, that title will be on the top of it. We don't have a choice for that. What we do have a choice for is all of the chapters that we add after this and any subchapters if we want it to have the title that we put in at the beginning or if we want to include it just on the content page. So I would like to include mine on the content page instead of what I have up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click that off. The next one down is whether or not I want it to be visible, and I do. And then do I want it to be restricted? And I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save and return to course. So you can see now, under our second topic, adding a book, we have our book here. The little pencil, and then we have our editing option over here. So when we were with a page and we wanted to edit it and add content to it, we actually went over to edit and edit settings. Now the difference between a page and a book is if we clicked edit settings here, we would actually go back to the page that we just left. So this edit settings edits the entire settings for the book. So this is where you would go as if you wanted to change your chapter formatting. But we don't want to do that. We actually want to add content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my pencil and my book and click on it. So what that brings me to is a new page, and I'm adding a new chapter. So this chapter title I am going to call All About Me. I'm going to put the same thing in for the content, and you'll see here where it says subchapter, it won't let me click that off right now. And that's because this is the first chapter of my book. So I can't have any subchapters yet. Once you've included your first chapter, it will give you the option to either add a subchapter or add it as a new chapter. So we're just going to scroll down, and I'm actually going to add a little bit more content here. So the content I've added, I'm not super happy with. I think I would like a little bit more of a visual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to my toolbar, and I'm going to find images. And this is where you, again, have the chance to enter just a web address, or you can browse on your computer. So I'm going to go in and browse, and I'm going to go over to upload a file, choose a file, scroll down to my desktop, and pick the picture that I would like. And then I'm just going to go upload this file. I'm not going to put a description on it because I don't feel that this one warrants one. It's just a small little picture for me, but I am going to change the size. Again, the alignment, I'm going to play around with that. I like to have mine on the left. That way I can have some words just written on the right of it. Makes it look a little bit nicer. And then you can have a look at it. I'm just going to tweak it a little bit, and then I think I'm happy with that, so I'm going to hit Save Changes. So now you can see this is what students will see when they click on our first chapter of our book. It's our introductory activities, which is called All About Me. And then up on the right-hand side up here, you can see our table of contents. Again, here's the All About Me. This title doesn't show up on my page because I clicked my custom titles. So if I didn't click my custom titles, then you would see All About Me underneath my introductory activities. If I want to edit this page, I go right over here to this little star button, I guess you would call it, and that's where I would edit this page. If I wanted to delete it, if I wasn't happy with it, I would click that little X button. If I wanted to hide it from my students because I didn't feel it was ready yet, I would click the eyeball. And what we're going to use is we're going to use this little plus button over here, and we're going to add another chapter. So again, we're adding another chapter to our introductory activities, and this chapter title I am going to call Messaging in the Course. And because this is under All About Me, I'm going to add this as a subchapter and then go ahead and add my content. So I've gone in and added my content, and when I look at it, I think about it and I think, you know, I think I'm going to add a video here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up and click my toolbar. And here is where I'm going to show you how to use the HTML editor. I've recently found a YouTube video, and I'm just going to switch screens and show you my YouTube video. And underneath the YouTube video, it will show you a little button with the share. So I'm just going to click on that. And what I'm looking for is the embed. So I'm going to click on that. And it gives me this code down below here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that code, go back to my page in my book, and then I'm going to add it in here. So to add it, you need to make sure your HTML code button is clicked. We're just going to paste that. I'm going to go back up, click off my HTML editor, and then scroll down, and you'll see that the video is now embedded in my page. So I'm happy with that, and I'm going to now go save changes. And there it is in my page. If you scroll up to the top under Table of Contents, you'll see that here is my chapter, my first chapter, all about me, and then here's my subchapter, messaging in the course. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add a few more chapters. So I've now added 2 more subchapters for my All About Me chapter. If you wanted to switch them around and move them within here, you would use the up and down arrows right here. And if you want to browse it, this is how you would browse it through the course itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back out into my main course page. I'm going to go over and I'm going to go switch role to, and we're going to switch it to a student. So when a student logs into the course, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see, first of all my pages, and then they're going to go down and see my book. So I'm going to click on the book, and this is the first page they'll come to. So instead of clicking on each site individually, they can just scroll through my book using these arrows right here. The message, and then they'll click it again, and they'll get to the Wordle, or again, and they'll get to the last one. So the arrow with the up button will take us back to the main page, or if we want to go back through, we can use the previous button. If we want to go right to the beginning, we can go right up here to our table of contents and just click on that part as well. So we're going to go back out. I'm going to switch my role back to normal, and I'm just going to turn my editing back on. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make a copy of my assignment, and then I'm going to move it down. Oh, and unfortunately that moved everything. Not what I wanted to do. Okay, so now I have my copied messaging assignment placed underneath my introductory activities. So I'm just going to move that over to the right, just so students know that that's their assignment that they have to do following the introductory activities book. So when I go and turn my editing off, that is what students will see. So for me, I prefer adding the book because it's generally topic related. It's all in one nice little package. Students see one thing and they know that they have one assignment. When I look up top in my introduction section, I see a lot of things and I start to panic, which I know my students will as well. So it's really dependent on what you have and what you want to put into your pages. If it is just something simple and very quick, then a page is a great way to do it. However, if it is more content and it all kind of flows into the next one, I would choose to use a book. I hope my 2 videos have helped you, and I hope you do are able to use pages and books in your course. If you do have any questions though, please don't hesitate to ask me. Thanks so much for watching my videos.